right, so I don't have a video playing. For you, there will be a video playing, but for me, there isn't right now. Um, but I'm just gonna get kind of right into it today. The topic is my well, it is defamation, but the topic is, as you can see from the title of the video, defamation. And I'm bringing this up, and I actually, you know what? I'll go down the timeline, and up until current events. So I met this girl, and this was probably about 8 years ago. So this has been a long time ago, and you'll kind of later on see where the issue lies in terms of this time gap. So I was 20, I think at the time, 19 or 20, turning 20, and I met this girl at work. Um, and long story short, we hit it off. And everything seemed to be really well for the most part for um a couple of years. And so I was with this girl for about 3 years, 3.5-ish years. Mind you, the last, I would say, maybe 6 months of that relationship was very weird. And also keep in mind that at the very end of it, COVID happened. So essentially, what ended up happening, top to bottom, from near end, I'm not going to go into the whole relationship thing. It really doesn't matter that much. So one night, I remember the both of us were home, and mind you, I was living with my mom at that time, and this was probably like 11:30, 12 o'clock at night. So she's most likely she was asleep. I'm pretty sure she was asleep, and I'm thank God she didn't wake up to hear anything. And if she did, she was minding her own fucking business. So I go to cook myself something. I actually distinctly remember it being crab dinner. So I go to boil the water, and as soon as the water starts to boil, and I open the packet of like the cheese dust, she comes into the kitchen and she's holding her phone in my face, and she's going, "Who's this? Who's this?" Now I know what you're thinking. Uh, why are you talking to other girls? I wasn't. Well, I was, but I wasn't. This girl was a lesbian. She wasn't straight in any sense of the term. Um, and I went to high school with her, so it wasn't really any of a threat. There was also this one time in particular too. I had another one of my female friends come over to my house with her girlfriend, her active girlfriend. And by the way, my friend was a very active and still is a very active stud. Um, and so I remember when the two of them came over to smoke with me, um, you know, that was a problem. And I remember it being a huge issue because I got so incredibly stoned that I ended up passing it. I literally walked them down from my condo to be like, okay, peace out. And then I remember coming back upstairs and I just passed the fuck out for like hours. I was out, like stone cold stoner nap, done, out like light. I wake up to my phone being absolutely blown up with texts and stuff. So this wasn't the first time this has happened. In fact, this is probably the third time that this has happened. So we get into a little bit of an argument, and we basically go to bed angry, or she goes to bed angry. I went to bed confused. I woke up confused because she was still actively upset about that. So I think we woke up and we started getting our day together around like, I don't know, maybe it must have been like 12 o'clock or something like that, because she decided to continue to argue about that. Um, and in retrospect, I guess I could have just drove her home. Like, there's another instance with another one of my exes, where I literally said to her, like, look, if you're good enough to like, if you're feeling well enough to give me attitude, you're well enough to go home, kind of thing. Because I remember that one, she was she was feeling really sick that day and she was over at my house and she didn't have to be there and then you just started disrespecting me kind of thing. So I'm just like, okay, now it's time for you to go home. Like you're good enough to give me shit, you're good enough to go home. Um, so, we wake up that day, she's giving me shit, and then the next thing I know, she walked over to one of my walls in my bedroom. Again, I'm living with my mom at the time, and she headbutts my wall, leaves a hole in it. Um, I remember being like absolutely stunned that one, she didn't hit a fucking stud, um, and put a fucking hole in her own head. But my other thing was that when we had called her dad didn't even care about me or how it happened or my wall. I was on the phone with him and I distinctly remember being like, hey, yeah, your daughter put her head through my wall. And he's like, oh, well, how's my daughter? And can I speak to my daughter? I'm like, yeah. And then I just immediately went to the hardware store near me, got whatever the fuck plaster and plastered it up. Like I still have the video of us plastering up the wall, and you're gonna soon know why I still have these things 8 years later. In a second. So, essentially, I very soon after that move away, and I move away. I'm not really. I mean, I could go into specifics. My friend, basically broke up with his girlfriend at the time. Apparently she was cheating on him, so he called me at like 2 in the morning while I was actually laid up with my said girlfriend at the time, and she was like, yeah, you want to come help me out with rent because, COVID sucks. And he knew that I was kind of looking for another job at the time. So I told him, I was like, look, if you can hook me up at your job right now, then sure, I have no reason to say no, right? Um, so, I pretty much pack all my stuff up and move overnight. Um, and that being said, this was my first like big boy job. Before I was working a job that was kind of sporadic, a lot of later night shifts, and this job was more of you're gonna be working 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock, and that's that. You get an hour break, and that was it. So naturally, I'm really exhausted. So this became a little bit of an issue with my girlfriend at the time because she felt like I wasn't giving her enough attention, but I tried to express to her in reality that this is my first big boy job. You've never seen me work like this before, and this is what it's like. But you know what? Like in a couple of years, like you can move out here, or I can move back there, and everything will be okay. Um, that did not happen. She in fact tried to surprise me by coming over, and at this point, I just wanted out of the relationship because she was being very out of pocket and doing things that I just couldn't tolerate, especially doing a bit of a long distance. She didn't drive and I did. Um, Mind you, this relationship wasn't perfect by any means. Like I do want to say, like I did do one or two. Like there's one instance, and I'm gonna admit to this, and I just think it's kind of funny. But at the same time, not really. But she kind of did it to herself. Um, there was this one night we actually went to go see this particular friend in his city, and we were going to stay overnight until my girlfriend got really upset that I don't know, something about my friend's roommate or something. She got like really jealous. I don't know. And in reality, she had left to take a phone call, came back, and we were all laughing, and she didn't understand the joke, and then she got upset about it. She ends up leaving and coming back into that. By this time, I'm like almost pissed drunk, but she's like demanding that I drive her an hour and a half home in the dark. And I'm just like, no, I'm not going to do that. But what I will do is I will drop you off down the street at the GO station, which is like the bus stop like in for towns in my country, and I'll just you can figure it out there. So I dropped her off and I went back and continued drinking because I'm not going to risk my life and your life driving an hour and a half in the dark, and my car also was a little fucked up at the time, so I'm definitely not going to do that. Um, so fast forward, I break up with her, and I receive shortly after my birthday of that year, I receive a call from police telling me to come down to the station for some reason. They didn't tell me why until after they printed me. And then I just got a bunch of papers. I didn't know what anything meant. I read through it all, and then she was trying to accuse me of a bunch of nonsense. So I spent the better part of a year and a half, in and out of court. Especially during COVID, it was very hard. Like there was no in-person court appearances. It was all online. So if you had a court date that day, you better hope that everything was booked off and you had a full day because you were going to be sitting there for a while. So fast forward a little bit, I win the case. Obviously, I found notes and things that she has handwritten me that I still have to this day because I'm absolutely petrified of things like this happening to me. And again, you're going to know why at the very end of this video. I'm sorry it's a little longer than I'd like to make them, but this has really affected me in a really negative way recently, and I just need to talk about it. So recently, I've been having, I think I think I mentioned this in my other video that, I'm looking for a job. I'm trying to look for a job. And in the meantime of that, I thought, maybe doing Uber Eats would hold me up until, I found something proper, especially now because I'm in school. But reality kind of smacked me upside the head recently, and I realized that they had to do a background check, which I wasn't initially worried about until it came back negative, in which case I reached out and asked them to please confirm because I've never been convicted of anything. I've been accused of things, things that I'm honestly not even comfortable saying out loud to this day because of how absolutely absurd it was and everything I had to go through with that. But yeah, so, long story short with that is I can't even get a job at Uber, and trying to figure out what to do next because I can't afford a lawyer, and I'm not sure going back into a case, that happened 8 years ago is really a good idea. I don't exactly want to open up a can of worms like that again, even though I am kind of prepared for it because I still have a lot of the evidence that I had back in that case still on my phone. But yeah, I don't know. It's a clear defamation case, but I'm kind of just really stuck, and I have a lot of trauma when it comes to the whole court process. So yeah. Anyway, that is the end of this video. If you made it this far, then I really appreciate it. I mean, it's a much longer video than I would have liked. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for listening, Void, and I'll see you later. Bye.